Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's live stream. AMA, thank you all for being flexible with us and doing this on not only Tuesday, but at quite an earlier time. I don't think we've done it at a time this early in a while. The earliest we ever did it was 6 a.m. Pacific, which would be, how many hours? Oh, only 1 hour prior. Okay, so we're pretty close. Anyways, thank you all for being here at this different time. Straight up, the reason is just that I'm flying tomorrow, and usually plane Wi-Fi is pretty terrible, although it would be pretty cool to live stream from a plane. Anyways, okay. If you have any questions, throw them in the YouTube live chat or the Twitter live chat, not the comments, the live chat. We'll bring them up. Today's going to be pretty chill. We'll talk about all the things, whatever you want. Throw your questions in there. Keep it farmer friendly, and let's bring up Luke.
Hey, everybody. Yeah, so excited to be on this AMA. Are we allowed to say where you're going, Ivy, or?
I haven't. I've said it here and there. We're doing a pretty cool event with Binance in Southeast Asia, so we're going to be there. So check it out if you're interested. We've got some awesome people from the community coming out, which will be really, really fun. I love meeting you guys in person. So yeah. Thanks for Indian time of AMA. See, okay, here's the thing. So Luke and I have both left Pacific time zones. And so we were talking about, okay, I think it's time that we make this more friendly to our Southeast Asian and European users, players, and move the AMA time a little bit. So I think we will have a more structured time in a couple weeks where we stick to it. But I don't think it's going to be our regular time. I think we're going to make it a little bit earlier so that, you know, our Indian players, our Filipino players are not online at 4 a.m. because that's, first of all, incredible that you even show up, but also insane. So we'll see. We'll talk about it. But yeah, you're welcome for today at least. Oh, right. Yeah, Luke and I, honestly, we're so committed to these AMAs that, okay, I'm not going to speak for Luke, but for myself, I do everything I can usually to avoid booking travel during our AMA time.
Oh yeah, I always do. I never book a plane flight on a Wednesday for that reason.
I always avoid booking on Wednesdays for this reason, but unfortunately, I just didn't have a choice this time around. So we're having fun on a Tuesday. You know, what's the song? Club going up. No, I'm sorry, I'll stop. Okay.
All right. Yeah. So keep asking questions too, because this AMA will just kind of dive through some stuff. I want to spend a lot of time answering questions today. This is going to be a more chill AMA. I think, we're trying to get a big release out by end of January at the latest. Whole team is on the same page about it. It's going to be a complete revamp in all of the game balance. So basically the entire way that you play the game is going to change pretty significantly towards the end of the month. We've been calling it like item XP rebalance internally, but like this is the chapter 2.5 update that we were talking about for a long time. So basically what's gonna be coming out by end of January, maybe it's next week, maybe it's the week after, one of the 2 weeks, there's not that many weeks left in January, is a giant change to basically all game meta. So what's that going to look like? It's going to look like the recipes inside of the game are going to change. So the way that you craft items are going to change. The timers on every single thing that you farm or work on, they're going to change. They're going to get significantly longer, which is going to be a little bit of a different feel, right? And also all of the XP for everything you earn is going to change and rebalance also. And then industry limits should be going with this update too. So what's that going to mean for the average player inside of the game? The way you play the game is going to change a lot. How we expect it to play and how these farmhands are playing it is things are going to be harder to get. Resources are going to be a lot more scarce. The resources on land specifically too are going to be the ones that are much more difficult to go out and collect. And it's going to be a change in the game meta for that reason too. So what we're trying to achieve with these updates is we basically want to make it so that players have to go on land again. And then there's also scarcity in land too. So one of the biggest issues with the game economy when you're playing pixels right now is that in the tier 3 and the tier 4 resources, when you start getting further through the game, those tier 3 and tier 4 resources are actually quite easy to get. You have to really work to level up to get to them. But then when you finally level up, it's not so easy, or it's quite easy to get these resources. There's a couple of different reasons for this, right? One of the reasons is it takes a long time to get up to those levels, so not many people are on those levels. So there's not much competition for those resources, right? Those resources are supposed to be the most rare, desirable, and sought after, but they're not because of that. And then the other issue too is because there's no industry limits, there's basically just like way too many ways to get these resources, where it makes it very, very abundant as well. So really the only thing that's stopping you from getting those resources is energy, not any of the other things that we want to cap, basically. So the idea is it doesn't really make sense to go to land right now in the game loop because you're almost better off farming the other resources sometimes, the tier 1s and the tier 2 resources, right? Rather than going to land to get the tier 3, the tier 4, or the tier 3 and the tier 4 resources are so cheap on the marketplace where it just makes sense to go out and buy them directly, right? And it's not even worth your time to go out and farm them. So it doesn't make sense for me to go farm tier 3, tier 4 resources, even though I had to work really hard. I had to work really hard to get there. And it doesn't really make sense for me to like go out and sell them on the marketplace, right? So here's why we're doing this. Basically, the landowner situation, right? I know you guys are unhappy. And again, my take is that a lot of the landowners are unhappy because of these issues. It's the game economy issues. And the game economy is quite weak in the tier 3 and the tier 4. Like this whole change is literally oriented around making it so that land, which we think is the core economic art of pixels, is more useful, and that players have to go and like farm the most valuable resources on land. Now it's interesting because there's different player personas inside of the game, right? So you have to think about this from like the higher level view, the 1,000-foot view, right? If you're a landowner and a really active player, the player part in you will maybe be a little bit nerfed when it comes to getting resources. That means it's going to be harder to get tier 3 and tier 4 resources moving forward, right? Now, tier 3 and tier 4 resources being harder to get, that's good and it's bad, right? Yes, it means they're harder to get, but if they're harder to get, it also should mean that they're worth the time to get, right? So that's the idea. If they're harder for everybody to get these resources, they should be more valuable. So when you go and sell them on the marketplace, people should be able to like wanting to pay for them a little bit more, right? They should get more coins when you sell them to other players. So that's kind of the intention. We want to make it so that those resources that you farm on tier 3 and tier 4 matter more, have more value in the game economy, essentially. So that's the idea. We basically want most players to kind of like progress up to the land and have the land be the more important part of their gameplay when they come further. So when we're building out pixels, there's like a bunch of different people that we're thinking about inside of the game, right? Like this update is for end game players, and this is why we're doing this, right? There's other things that we need to think about when we think about beginning and mid game players. A lot of the stuff that we're going to be working on in Q1 of 2025 is around smart token distribution, data science, onboarding, new user experience, growth loops, all of this kind of stuff. That's going to be more oriented towards beginner and mid-level players. We have a huge list of all the changes that we want to make for beginner players. Yeah, we just, like I said, the last time in the AMA, we brought on a like ex designer for RuneScape to help us come and build out the beginning stages. But yeah, that's exciting because they just came with like a huge list of like, these are all the things you need to do. The whole beginning game and the mid game is going to make so much more sense when we're done with this. But yeah, basically these changes are all oriented. These balance changes that we're doing are all oriented around land. It's going to take you guys a week or two to settle into these. So, you know, I think this will be one of those updates where you're going to be like, you changed everything, and be like a little angry at first. Then you're going to be like, oh, okay, I get it. That's the goal with this. So yeah, I can answer more questions on that too if you guys have some of those.
Yeah, so this update it's huge, and it is going to address so many issues pertaining to economy, but also player feel, right? In my mind, we're kind of bringing back chapter 1 vibes a little bit in the way that you're going to have to go to multiple lands. Things take a little bit longer. Like if we're talking about gameplay right now, this is how it feels, right? You need some wood. You go to a land that has 2 billion trees. And by the time you're done cutting down number 300, number 1 is already grown again. But you're out of energy. That doesn't really feel good because you're like, oh, I'm really addicted. We nailed the addiction, right? You're really addicted. You're like, I need to keep going, but I ran out of energy. And also you're like, there's just, it doesn't have that like comfy, casual, fun player feel, which chapter 1 did. So I think that this update introduces that a little bit. It's not 100%. We're not going back to chapter 1. Let me be clear, but it brings it back a little bit. And so the big kind of 3 things that are coming with this update are item, XP, rebalancing, recipes, all of that. The task board will reflect these changes. And then also industry limits, which industry limits also, it all works together, right? This is like the main Pixels game loop. It's like one big thing all together, right? So it's going to feel good. It's going to be different. For our OG players, the ones that have been around since chapter 1, I think you're going to feel like, okay, I'm getting this like comfy, cozy feeling a little bit back. Also the social aspect coming back a little bit because you're forced to go to more lands. So yeah, it'll be a big change, but it'll be a really good one. So I'm very excited, and it's expected to come by the end of January. So around that timing. Okay, cool. So many good questions today. You guys are asking some really, really good ones. Let's.
Yeah, I'm going through and starring a bunch right now.
Okay. Oh, okay. Hold on. There was one I wanted to bring up. Where is it? Okay. First of all, this one, because it's kind of on topic here. Do not introduce industry degradation. Okay, all landowners out there, listen up. Okay, industry degradation is not coming in this update. It is still an idea that is being discussed. The reason it is being discussed is for every single reason you guys bring up on Discord constantly to me, to Luke, to our community team, in that it feels like a straight up nerf to landowners, right? And so why the heck would we do that? When this was brought up, the first thing I said was, that's going to feel terrible. You know, how do we make this not terrible? Industry degradation is there, you know, because there's too many industries in the game. It's there for balance reasons, right? I don't need to explain that part. But there are other options. And I would actually love if you guys can like brainstorm a little bit and kind of think of different ideas of how this can work without it being nerfy. So the going idea that we have thus far, and this is not a fleshed out idea, this is a very, very high level idea, is that when it degrades, when it's dead, whatever the terminology will be, you have the opportunity to get some like really rare item from it that you can only get through there. Right? So especially if it's like tier 3, tier 4, you can only get said item from a tier 4 industry dying, which means that NFT landowners are the only ones that can get said item. Now, the question is, okay, what's the utility of these rare items, right? So that's something we have to brainstorm out. I think we've talked about them being redeemable somehow within merchant ships. So there's a lot of different ideas floating around, but if you have a completely different idea, I would also love to hear it. But that's kind of that. So it is not coming in this update. Don't worry.
All right, cool. So I just went through and I just started a bunch of questions. So we're going to go and rip through these.
I have another one. There you go.
Guys,
when you were talking about the
guys. So what do you want us to do? We have to fix the game economy. Game economy should funnel through land. That's kind of the idea here. Because land is basically like a tier up, right? So when you think about designing a game economy, you think about making it so that things are rare and scarce. So the reality is it's a game. Not everybody can win very easily all the time, right? There have to be some people that make better decisions or have better setups that do better, right? Or there have to be some people that go out and like figure out the meta and the hard things to do and they do better. This is not an everybody win game wins game with play to earn, right? Like if you want to go out and earn, there's only so many tokens every single month to go out to players, right? So you have to make things a little bit harder for the people who have better skill, better setups, better ideas and how to like game the meta to go out and win, right? We've been talking a lot about what play to earn actually looks like and what the fun game meta is. And our take is that play to earn, the game is figuring out the meta. Like that's the actual game. Like you're trying to figure out the best optimization so you can get an edge above everybody else. And it's that puzzle of trying to put together these pieces that's actually kind of the fun part. So, you know, we have to basically make it so that you have to think about the right things to do, right? You have to get the better strategy. You have to be a better Pixels player to go out and earn more. So that means making things harder to do in certain circumstances so that people who are willing to put in that work and figure that kind of stuff out are able to do the best. Now, that doesn't mean that we want people to be grinding for 12 hours a day to do this. Like that's not necessarily what the game has to be, right? There's different ways to kind of reward different types of users for this kind of reason. So yeah, we've been talking a lot about even what a task board V2 looks like. And we're fairly certain that we're going to kind of redesign the task board, not from scratch, but it's going to work very differently than how it works now. And it's going to be completely data science backed when we go out and do task board V2, or I think it's actually task board V3. So we'll be able to target rewards even better than we can right now. That's kind of the idea. And we can start to even like tweak the things that we want to reward for. So right now how the task board works is there is like some element of like, you know, you get max amount of tasks per day eventually, or they lock, or you like run out of the good ones. You guys who are like very deep into the meta knows how this works. We'll be able to adjust that and kind of play with that a little bit more. But yeah, I would say like when we think about play to earn rewards, the idea is not necessarily like we want, like I wouldn't say somebody grinding 12 hours a day is preferred meta behavior. I see no need for that, to be honest. But there are different things that we think about with this.
All right. Also, this is not farmer friendly. I said it twice at the start. Okay. Being nice here.
Are Pixels still a play to earn game? So Pixels gives out about like, I just like compiled a bunch of on-chain public stats in a tweet yesterday. Now this is like no alpha. This is no like unique insight. This is just stuff that you can find on chain. It's kind of hard, but you can do it. But Pixels gave out about like $4.5 million of rewards last month. Like every single month, Pixels have been giving out like about $4.5 million of rewards. That's more than the FDV of a few gaming tokens that released recently, right? That's kind of crazy. Pixels is by far the biggest play to earn game. Not even close right now, to be completely honest, about the amount of rewards that you can get. And the cool thing too is like we gave out like $4.5 million of rewards. Players are now spending 50% of the rewards that we give them back in the game. So $4.5 million of rewards, but only like $2.5 million actually went out into the open. I think a lot of people even hold it in their balance and stuff like that too. So yeah, we're doing pretty good on that. It's been exciting. So yeah, we're still a play to earn game, and we're trying to tweak this and build this out better and better. Basically, the mission statement of the Pixel Foundation is to like completely figure out play to earn gaming. So what that means is we really think here at Pixels, who are helping the Pixel Foundation, that play to earn is going to open up a completely new user acquisition model that basically everybody's going to use in like 2 to 5 years. There's no reason that more things shouldn't be play to earn. And I'm not just talking about other games. I'm talking things like, you know, TikTok and YouTube, they're kind of play to earn already. But we think this is going to be a really big innovation on user acquisition in general. And this is kind of the thing that we're focused on here. So in order to do that, we need to keep making it better and better. There's a couple of key stats that we've been looking at. What I like to think about being the most important metric is the metric called return on reward spend. So essentially we give out, you know, $4.5 million of rewards every single month. What does that do for the ecosystem? Like, are people actually using those rewards inside of the game? Are they like dumping them immediately? We're building out tech that basically helps us figure out who are the right people to give out rewards to that actually want to use them inside of the game, and how can we start to give out those rewards to those people better. So yeah, you're gonna start to see some giant upgrades in Q1. That's kind of the idea. And then there's even some cooler stuff. Other founders, if you're watching this AMA, or if you know any other founders that are trying to figure some of this stuff out, we're pretty interested in opening up this play to earn tech that we've been building out to other teams. So that's going to be an initiative that we're at least bare minimum exploring right now. And if there is interest from other teams, then what we'll start to do is we'll start to share some of this play to earn tech with other teams also. And basically what that looks like is other teams will be able to come in, use like a backend, and build out campaigns that are play to earn for their own communities using what we've learned here at Pixels to target the right users and like basically optimize their return on reward spend. So we've been making super good progress. Our return on reward spend was like 0.25 4 months ago, and now it's 0.5. This month it'll be better, it looks like. So yeah, if there's any other teams out there that are interested in using this, hit us up. There's some cool stuff there. So I know you guys want to talk more about this stuff. Here's a question. So you guys are saying chapter 2 and 2.5 failed. No, chapter 2.5 is like, it was a rolling update, right? So I would say that chapter 2.5 is, it's not wrapping up with the update that's about to come up in the next week or two, but like this is the bulk of what we wanted to get out for chapter 2.5 in this update. So chapter 2.5 is basically a redesign of chapter 2. I would say some things about chapter 2 went well and some things didn't go well. That's life, right? You don't get everything right all the time. So we had to go through chapter 2 and make some big changes to it. Basically, you know, I wish we had made these changes that are coming out in chapter 2.5 as we were releasing chapter 2, but that's just not how it went. So chapter 2.5 is basically fixing a lot of the issues that released in chapter 2 and having a much more solid, balanced game economy. Like this time there's actually like spreadsheets, like all of like everything's much more thought out. In chapter 2, you would have noticed.
Or we're not just people are gonna think that we're just like going crazy. But yes, it is much better designed, and I think that we have much stronger talent doing said design. So I'm really excited about this. Okay.
Break the Pixels bubble. Bring in Web 2 players of a similar style, like Habbo Hotel, for example. One thing I'll say is that there are a lot of Pixels players that already came from that. I think a lot of the Philippine community, for example, it's interesting. Like a lot of them didn't play Axie, the Filipino like Pixels community, but they had friends playing Axie, or they had people that like they knew playing Axie, and then Pixels is what onboarded them into Web3, which is cool because they had already been playing games like Habbo or Stardew Valley or like Albion Online, Tibia, like those types of games, right? And yeah, I would say that's a big focus of Q1 also. So Q1, we're going to be reworking our onboarding and building out better social loops. So if you guys played games like Farmville, one thing that they did really good, I don't know if you guys are going to like this or not, but this might not be targeted towards you. We're going to give you different options. Basically, as like Farmville, they gated some content behind sharing, and that's actually what a lot of games do right now, even still. Somebody asked about the pet app, just to like tie this in together. We have a pet app coming. We actually just got handed off the first build today. I haven't played it yet. I'm about to meet with that team again, like right after this AMA actually. So I kind of have a hard stop on the hour. But yeah, we're basically going to be incorporating like a bunch of social loops back into the game. The pet app that we're releasing is a social game. And then, yeah, the onboarding is really important too. So right now, the beginning stages of Pixels is not very mom friendly. Somebody asked, when will this game be played by mommies again? So yeah, it's not very mom friendly. And that's kind of what we want to build the beginning stages of the game. Like we want to make it so that it's like super friendly. You don't need to look up any videos to learn how to play it. That it makes sense, that you're kind of handheld through all of this stuff. We have like a huge list of features that we'll be building here. It's exciting. But yeah, we need that to attract the Web 2 audience first. It's interesting because even the people who are streaming and playing Pixels at the end game, you guys know that Pixels is actually like, the game has some depth when you get further through the game, right? even in the Web3 side of things, I think we're missing some traction that we could be having, because a big Web3 gamer streamer comes in and the onboarding of the tutorial doesn't make sense. And they don't understand, like, oh, there's actually like cool economy stuff at the end of this, where if they took the time to do that, they would probably like the game more. So we have to make the game more interesting in beginning and middle stage. And then this also ties into earnings. So we're going to start working on basically figuring out like what the best balance of earnings is, because my take now is that shifting all the earnings so far through progression, like having to get to level, 600 plus total level, that's not great for the game either. Like, you need earnings in every stage of the user journey. And that's where this data science stuff I keep talking about comes into play. Because if you want to give earnings to people in different stages of gameplay, especially in the beginning stage, you really have to make sure they're not bots, because it's easier to make bots without having to get them through the game so quickly, right? So that's where, when we can start to build out, like, I've been so, maybe this is bad, I hate trend following. And I like AI stuff. We're gonna experiment with like some agent stuff, but it's not gonna be like anything crazy. It's not gonna be like changing pixels too significantly. There might be some interesting stuff there, but like a lot of what we're doing is AI powered insights into how users use tokens and who to give tokens to. It's technically like machine learning, but everybody says AI now. But we're building out predictive models. So basically, like earlier in the user's journey into the game, like when they first log in, we might actually have a better idea of what kind of player they're going to become. And if we know that they're going to become a good player, a player who's like decorating their land, who is like going to participate in guild mechanics, like we probably should give them some more incentives to come and stay in the game, right? So we're doing some stuff there. I miss giving quests to NPCs. Would be interesting if the buildings had missions. I agree. I think this is something that's super lacking inside of Pixels right now. I've added it to the Q1 roadmap also. There's some pretty easy wins that we can get here. And to be honest, this is something I've always been pushing for inside of Pixels. And I just have been like, why have we not been able to build this? Like, it's kind of confused me also, because we have all the tooling to do it. I think maybe we just missed somebody to like take full ownership over it while we were building everything else out. But I want to prioritize this. I think this is very low hanging fruit that would make the game more interesting and more fun. Even some really tiny things, like if we added cutscenes, if we added like a bit of story. I will say we do have a community member, I'm not going to say who yet, that's like potentially helping us with this. So there's a couple different options we have when it comes to story and narrative building. We can go out and like hire an author to like build out a lore. Like we already have some, like if you guys have like played the game, you guys know there's some weird stuff going around, right? Like you've seen like the void, you've seen like some of the lore and world building. But like we want to take that to another level and incorporate that into the game. It just makes sense. Any game you play like this has this. It's actually a huge part of games like Stardew Valley, or I just started playing a game on a Switch, a farm game. It's like is the Tale of Seasons. What's it called? Story of Seasons. Yeah, it's like a Harvest Moon game, I think. Huge part of that too.
Okay, I've seen these 2 points brought up several times, so let's talk to both of them. They're about sports. Okay, so first of all, more sports arenas, please. Too many bullies and mean people. So first of all, I'm going to say, if there's anyone being legitimately mean and rude and not farmer friendly, please report them to the community team. You can report them in game, you can report them on Discord, but please let us know and we'll take a look. But I will also say that Spore Sports is a kind of like PvP, GVG, if you want to call it, game, right? It might not be for everyone. There is definitely going to be not combat, but sabotaging each other. There's going to be some tension that arises from trying to sabotage each other. So with that, I will also mention, you guys might have noticed that we've rolled it out. So there are different types of maps. There are currently 2 different types of maps. There's a new one that's been introduced, and that one is a little bit, I would say, less competitive, and then there's the older map, which is more competitive from what I think. So if maybe you're annoyed with the more competitive map, which is the one that's kind of like stringy looking, it's got like the narrow walkways, you hop over to the other arena and try out the newer map, which is a little bit more simple, I would say. But yeah, so I hear you on this. You guys know that we've been constantly updating Spore Sports to try and make it work, make balance, make it feel good. So keep giving us your feedback. Because yeah, we've been taking it on. We're making tons of updates. I almost think we've been making too many updates because now like it might be kind of hard to keep track of all the changes. So make sure you're glued to our announcements. I post the mostly minor announcements for all of the details on updated Spore Sports. But the other question I keep getting is, where is my gold soil, bro, Luke? where is the evolved soil? I got this question 1,000 times on Discord also. So I'm going to start by saying, I don't know the exact actions you need to take. They're keeping it all locked up, tight information. I got no tea to spill, but I know a little bit of information, okay? And I'm going to tell you it right now. You have to perform some actions on soil to have a chance at it evolving. Now, someone on Discord just asked me if it's true that you have to pour chocolate sauce instead of water on the soil to make it evolve. I can tell you that is not true because I sent that to the team and they laughed pretty hard and they were like, okay, it's nothing out of the ordinary. It is actions that you would perform in Spore Sports already. There were a few evolved soils in the previous games, but people maybe haven't caught on to it quite yet. So it's nothing crazy out of the ordinary. I would say go ahead and experiment and see how it goes. But they do exist. Someone was like, you're lying. And I was like, I can confirm I'm not. They do exist. You just gotta get good. I don't know. There you go. All right. Any burning questions, Luke?
Oh yeah, I just went through and started a bunch more. Somebody said staking exists with Binance 4.8 APR per month. There is a campaign going on with Binance Earn soon or now or something like that. So yeah, maybe go check that out. I think that's what this person's referring to. But yeah, no, staking is coming. So I don't want to go too much into the staking details, but we're doing something pretty novel there. I kind of want to wait till we get the like official white paper out that has us in, kind of because we need to make sure that it's run by legal and make sure that everything's good there before we start talking about it too much. You gotta be a little smart with this stuff. But yeah, it's gonna be a cool model. It's almost gonna be like kind of like decentralized publishing in a way. But the idea that we're trying to build with staking is we want to kind of give ecosystem participants the ability to make choices in how the ecosystem is like completely set up right now, and removing like more centralization from the Pixels team in some aspects like this too. It's going to be cool when we get it all out. So yeah, basically they'll give you guys more say on how things like ecosystem emissions are used. And give you guys choices as well too. So we're excited for that. I'm excited to see what that looks like. And yeah, hopefully we can get out that new white paper by the end of the month. I saw somebody ask a question about that. Yeah, so we're working on a new white paper. I like the high level of what it's going to be is it's going to kind of describe to you guys what we're doing when it comes to like innovating on play to earn, how we view like some of the core of the game. Like to me, that's like the bulk of the white paper. Like the gameplay stuff is going to be there and it's interesting too. But like really the white paper is like, who gets earnings and, what are we thinking about this? Like how does this play into something a little bit bigger? How does staking work? How does all this ecosystem tie in together? It's basically going to emphasize like the ecosystem for the Pixel token a little bit more and kind of go into depth on that. Current white paper is a little weak on that.
Okay, what is going to happen to our skills? So your skills, your XP, all of that, none of that is changing with this update. Like I said, the three main things that are changing, which is basically the core game loop, are item, XP, recipe rebalancing, all of that, which means like timers and recipes and that kind of stuff are changing a bit. Industry limits, so there will be limits implemented on lands for how many of industries that can be placed on said land. It changes depending on size of land and whatnot, including specs and spec sizes. And then the task board will reflect that. So it's kind of just like, I mean, you can't have one without the other, right? It's like a big change, but your skills, your XP levels, all of that are not changing. So don't worry about that. And industry limits, I just kind of addressed this here too. So yeah, end of month is the rough timeline for this update getting out. And just so you guys know, like, we are rigorously testing this. But you know, with everything, we will continue to make tweaks once it's in production and we maybe realize we need to make some more updates. Something isn't quite right, we will actively make updates, but we are rigorously, you know, designing and testing this because this is a big change. This is a massive change. So
yeah, so one thing I think I personally learned from chapter 2 is like, yes, we're gonna get this out. Like, it's super important, but also if it's broken, we're not gonna release it. But it should be good. So yeah, end of January is like target date. We're on track. And oh, I saw a question. We're on track. There shouldn't be surprises there. And then yeah, the team commitment too is like, I'm trying to, you know, we have to make sure the whole team's on the same page about this. But the important thing is we cannot be waiting a month to go out and push an update when these chapter 2.5 changes come out. Like, if there's an issue with it, same day change. Like, we honestly, first week needs to be daily changes and tweaks to respond to feedback. And then a big priority for this next year internally is we're bringing in some like, you know, more structure when it comes to releases too. Basically, team directive is, you know, starting basically next week, we need to make big progress in one area of pixels every single week. There's no excuse to not. So it might not be the biggest game update change coming out, but we do need to make sure that there's either content, some ecosystem change, or like some live ops game economy like improvements every single week. So that's gonna be a big directive. Hold us accountable to that. If we're not making weekly updates that make the game better every single week, that's gonna be a big issue. In 2023, we did about like 54 public releases. We did more than one every week. 2022 is about the same. So yeah, we didn't do that in 2024, which is an issue. And I think that's one of the things that I'm like not so happy about when I'm like looking at a 2024 year in review, like internally, of like what we could have done better. Yeah, that being said, I saw a mean comment. I'm just gonna pull it up because I think it's funny. I don't know why. I don't even know why I pull some of this stuff up. It was something like, this team is BSing. This team is scamming. This team is BSing. Scammers. So
someone called this, was it like King Scammer AMA LFG or something at the beginning? I did delete it though because rude.
Yeah. I mean, so what I can say is like, there's things that you can't fake inside of Web3. Revenue is one of those, and Pixel ecosystem revenue is on chain. It's performed pretty well. We're gonna try to get some comparables out, but I'm pretty sure we've done more revenue than like most gaming chain or most chains, not just gaming chains. But I think if you were to look at like ecosystem revenue, we'd be like quite high up there. Yeah, we were doing more revenue per month than base in a few months of 2024. I think base is a little bit past this now, but like we're like kind of close to those types of things, which is kind of crazy, right? You know, I'm pretty sure that we did more revenue than Immutable Chain. Don't quote me on that, but like I'm almost positive. We'll go and like dig up the numbers. So yeah, you can't fake that stuff. Team is like improving all of our metrics. You can see the core metrics that have been improving month on month. Our average revenue per user has increased from 96 cents to $3.96 over the last 4 months. Our return on reward spend has increased from 0.28 to 0.5 from August to December. Yeah, the team is making like pretty good, significant progress. And the Pixel Foundation is making pretty good, significant progress towards figuring out play to earn. That's been the mission statement from the very beginning, right? The mission statement has been figure out and build play to earn. And that's what we're working on, right? So yeah, we believe if we figure that out, all the other pieces fall together. That's our focus. We want to make a great game and other great games. We want to figure out play to earn, and we want to do this while building in public, doing this with all of you too. So that's the idea, right?
Okay, I'm going to bring this up for third or fourth time because I just want everyone to be aware of this massive update that is coming. So yes, industry limits are coming in an update in a few weeks from now. That means that depending on land size, NFT, and spec, you will be limited on how many of said industry you can place on your land. It's going to be a little bit more complex than that, but that's like the really rough version. This also comes with item and XP recipe, all rebalancing along with the task board, which will reflect all of these changes. So the core game loop of Pixels is being updated in a significant way with the chapter 2 updates, which have been ongoing for several months now, as we work to kind of fix a little bit of chaos that was chapter 2. So yes, they are coming.
Oh, somebody asked when creator codes. So those are getting worked on now. Yeah, basically how it works is anytime you go to purchase something in Pixel, you're going to be asked if you want to input a creator code, and then there will be a split of revenue on that purchase with the creator. I think we're going to go with a 5% split. So that creator will get like a 5% Pixel credit, and you'll also get a discount on the purchase too. So that'll be really cool when we have that out, right? We're pretty sure we're going to do unlimited creator codes. So basically you'll be able to use one on any purchase that you make, which is pretty crazy. If you don't want to use one, that's fine. But yeah, it'll be a pretty good opportunity for basically creators to go out and like put their name on something, like put it on content, right? Should be evergreen. So that'll be fun.
Okay, focus on fixing the Pixel game first. Stop that Pixels dungeon. Sounds like someone has fallen in the lava too many times, if I'm being totally honest with you. But just so you know, there's a completely different team working on Pixel Dungeons. So don't worry about it. This massive update is being done by the core Pixels team, who is not touching Pixels Dungeon. They are a different team. So you're good.
The Pixels Dungeon team is grinding. Yeah, so they're two different teams, right? And the Pixel Dungeon team, nothing but good things to say about them. Yeah, they've been making the game better and better. We're working with them a little bit to figure out how we can help them grow their game. They're part of the Pixel ecosystem, right? They were the first publishing deal that we did. There's a couple others that are in the works. But yeah, we've been giving them a ton of attention to make sure that we can kind of like help them help us figure out how to solve play to earn gaming, because it's a tough space, right? It's hard. It's a lot of work to be able to figure it out. And there's some great things that we're doing together. Yeah, that team is doing pretty well. So yeah, next stage in Pixel Dungeons is there's more features coming out. Also, this is maybe a good time. If you guys have any requests for the Pixel Dungeons team, what you guys want to see inside of it? Like what are some changes that you want to see made? What are some features that you would love? Let us know. Oh, good comment. Pixel Dungeons is one of the things Pixels ever did. I mean, yeah, I was super excited to see that added to the ecosystem. You know, we want to make sure that we have our attention like pretty narrow. So like the plan was really only to do like 2 to 3 publishing deals a year. We have another game that's going to be coming out in like probably March, April around pets. I'm very excited about that one. And yeah, until then, there's still like a lot to improve inside of the ecosystem. Oh yeah. So there's yeah, there's some good questions here. People are asking for a chat system.
I'd be too scared to chat. Like, what if someone bombed me while I... You have to be really quick.
Add a big crystal that I can only farm. Somebody wants to use some of their pixel items in there. Oh, so this is something that we're going to be working on too. So one thing that we're going to figure out is basically stuff like this. Yeah. So Pixels Dungeons is great. And what we want to figure out basically is how we can get more Pixels players trying it out. So one thing that we'll start to work on soon is basically either like a system inside of the game where you can like craft something and get pickaxes to go play pixel dungeons, or even just like something in the task board where if you go and turn in like 10 pop berries, maybe you get some free pickaxes to go out and play pixel dungeons.
That feels low, but yeah. Okay. Will trees be included in the industry limits? Yes. I'm not going to share too much on that for now, but yes.
Yeah, high level how industry limits are going to work though, it's going to be a little bit different than in chapter 1. In chapter 1, there was like a global limit to industries, right? So on your land, you could place like, 4 industries only, and you could choose which ones. This, how it's designed right now, and like the plan to go live is there's different limits for different types of industries, right? Because also like soil isn't equal to mines, isn't equal to other stuff, right? So there's gonna be limits by type of industry.
Yeah, it's not as simple as that, but yes. Yes,
yeah, there's something a little bit different coming. Yeah,
we'll speak more to it once it's been tested and we know it's 100%. Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah, actually, let's just talk about events. This is a busy week. First of all, we got AMA at a crazy different time. So once again, thank you all for coming out on Tuesday at a way earlier time. And we have Legends of Altea is how I think it's pronounced, energy party happening on Friday. And then we also have another Pixel Dungeons creator event. So if you were around in December, we did a very similar event where creators went head to head to climb the leaderboard in the Pixel Dungeons. And when we're talking about creators, we're talking about streamers. So streamers, we had, I think, like 14 to 16 streamers back then. Well, we're doing it again, and it's way bigger. This is like 45 to 50, I think, creators are going to be streaming within a 36-hour time bracket. So Friday and Saturday, check out the announcement in our minor announcements. We also tweeted about it, and I'm just going to admit it. I messed up the date on the graphic and I had to repost. So obviously we're not getting as many likes as we had. So you guys should definitely go spam the like and comment section of our announcement of the creator event so that our creators get hyped and get lots of views because they deserve it and it'll be really fun. I'm really excited for this. So yeah, it's gonna be so much more hectic than last time. So anyways, I digress. Look at the link. There's a link tree that includes all of the stream links to all of the creators participating. So you can go through and find your favorite creator and support them and hang out with them as they inevitably fall into the lava.
When staking, you are getting behind Pirate Nation and Nifty Islands. What I'll say is I like those teams a lot. I think they're great. I think we're really far ahead, like miles ahead when it comes to like revenue, when it comes to token distribution and all these other things. But those are good teams. I have met Charles a few times. Huge fan of him. I love the UGC stuff that they're doing. But yeah, staking is important to get right because it's not so easy. I mean, what you've seen in some ecosystems, like the ape ecosystem, is staking can be net negative if you don't have anything else besides the staking. I've always kind of viewed just like staking for APR or not doing it in the smart way as debt, kind of. And when I say debt, I mean more like utility debt, where if you're not building out revenue streams, you're not building out like use cases for the token, it's quite difficult. So, I mean, yeah, Pixel ecosystem did over $20 million in revenue last year. It's trending higher this year. It did about like 2.3 million in revenue last month in December, trending higher this month. And then, yeah, we're by far ahead when it comes to return on reward spend in this space and eating up emissions too. But those teams are great. Love them.
All right. Let's go through here.
Ooh, this is actually a great idea. I think you should add chase content to Pixel Dungeon so people can better accept the loose in Pixel. Could be NFTs or PD features, XP. One thing I'll say is there's probably an NFT mint coming, but this is actually a very interesting way to do it. I'm going to bring this up to them because we saw a ton of success with this kind of stuff for pets and other mechanics like that. Could be something there.
There is a little bit of chase content in there already. They're called epic ores, and it's just luck of the draw that you turn your sound on when you play this game, first of all, because it's so satisfying, but also then if you've ever hit an epic ore, it has a slightly different sound. Like it's like harder to hit it because it's like a way bigger loot of pixel. And I think someone go find it. What's the highest amount that someone has won? I think it was like 1,300 pixel, which is insane. Like that's crazy. Someone go find the amount. I know the Pixel Dungeons team tweeted about it. I don't know how long ago, but pretty crazy. So yeah, there is a little bit of chase content already in there. You just gotta, I know Chicken Pet, one of our top players, just won his first epic ore loot like yesterday or something. So yeah, congrats to Chicken Pet.
Nice. Ooh, some good feedback on Pixel Dungeons. Maybe you should slow down the pace of Pixel Dungeons. People playing a farming game don't really like the fast-paced style. Not a bad point.
Yeah, I think
someone
it's a mixture.
They would pay to have a bigger bag in Pixel Dungeons. Also smart.
Interesting. Yeah, I think Pixels, we have a really big player base, and obviously a lot of our player base is attracted to that casual, friendly, cozy style game, but there's a lot of types of players in our community too. Obviously we have our grinders. We're probably famous for our grinders. Shout out to our grinders. You guys are incredible. But there's people, they've been asking for PvP forever. So there is a group that really loves this. And then there's our Spore Sports, right? We were talking about Spore Sports earlier. There's that comment about, I need more space because I don't like people, sabotaging me. Well, that's Spore Sports, right? So there's lots of different player personas around, but good point.
Yeah, good point. Here's a good comment too. Make chase content more about less about random stuff and gotcha. Yes, there's a new feature going to be coming in after this chapter 2.5 update, merchant ships, and that's kind of what this feature is about. It's a feature where you can earn stuff that's not just pixel but other in-game items that are rare, and that's a cool feature coming. So yeah, that'll be done it's kind of done internally, but there's a few things we're testing, but the priority is getting these chapter 2.5 balance updates out first, and then merchant ships should come after. And then we've also been thinking a lot about what task board V2 looks like. I really like the idea of having tasks in the task board that don't just reward pixel or coins, but other in-game items, and also other actions besides just turning in items in the game economy. Things like referring a friend or sharing a piece of social media content, or going to play Pixel Dungeons, or trying this app out, like things like that too. So that's what we're thinking about with Task Board V2 also.
Okay, got a few more minutes here. Was there any comments you wanted to address?
Oh, somebody asked for a feature where you can reduce production time by paying some pixel every time. That's actually coming. It's called speedups. So that'll be fun because that's pretty important when we start to increase timers. So you'll be able to do that. And then there's some other features that I think landowners will be happy about if we add something like this that we've been thinking about also. I don't want to spoil them or say them out loud right now. But I know there's some design work being thought about on how this also benefits landowners if something like this happens.
Yeah, and it's kind of like the sculptures that were just released, right? So right now, what is it? Is it 5 or 10% speed up time? Beforehand, that wasn't really, or as the game is right now, I should say, that's not really significant. But if we're talking much longer times to grow crops or grow trees or whatnot, suddenly those are pretty good things to have on your land, right? So Yeah, no, I'm excited. I'm excited for this update. It's gonna feel good. It's gonna be a shock to the system. I'm preparing you now, but it's gonna feel much better.
What about new quests for reputation? So I think I want to rethink reputation a little bit again. One thing that I think is an issue with the reputation system is it's really hard to get it, even if you do have good on-chain history. And that's one thing that reputation was supposed to include a bit more than it does. So we're going to start to try to rethink about how we make like the beginning stages of reputation easier to get also. But yeah, the quests that you guys have been doing, love that kind of stuff too. And we need more cross-pollination. Like right now, we're not giving you reputation for playing pixel dungeons, but we definitely should. So we'll start to do that cross-pollination stuff too.
Okay, we got 1 minute and a hard stop left. So is there anything pressing or should we wrap it up here?
Add to the game some XP booster that can be bought using Pixel. I think that is coming, but we have to be careful about it too because you don't want that too abused.
Yeah. All right.
Okay. Well, yeah, no, I think that's about all the time that we have for questions today. I think we got through a lot. I think this is going to be a very question-oriented one, which I like those ones. Yeah, hopefully, maybe we'll preview the changes next week. We'll see. Maybe they'll go live next week. Who knows? But yeah, chapter 2.5 changes are coming. There's a lot of bigger updates in the ecosystem that will be coming too, that we'll be talking about more also in the coming weeks. And yeah, we're pretty excited. I'm coming back from the holidays super energized, like very excited to build pixels. I think 2025 is going to be super fun here. We have a lot of stuff that we're doing. The team is amazing. It's a little bit bigger than it was last year. And yeah, the level of talent that we have at Pixels now is top tier. I'm so appreciative of this team that we've been working with. Yeah, it's a really, really good team. And I'm excited for what we come up with next. It's a lot more resource than it was before.
Yeah, totally agree. All right. We will see you at the Legends of Altea Energy Party on Friday. Okay. And then we will see you at the Creator Showdown event Friday and Saturday. And then, of course, our AMA next week. Thanks,
Great.
guys.
Thanks, everyone.